Madeline Kahn won a Tony Award for her work in Wendy Wasserstein's The Sisters Rosenzweig, Oscar nominations for her work in Paper Moon and Blazing Saddles. After conquering stage and screen, she returns to television this season as the comic foil to Bill Cosby. With her flair for timing and sarcasm, she brings an edge to the world of Cosby's Hilton Lucas that makes for some very funny television, and I am pleased to have her on this program. Welcome back.
Thank you, Charlie.
Nice to see you. We met each other this summer on the beach.
Yes. I walked toward the house there, and
yeah, there you were.
Very surprised to find you there.
Thank you. Well, yes. I'm surprised to be there. I don't live on that beach. We just drove over there, and we rode over there on a little boat.
Wherever it is, we won't say. Isolated, lonely place.
Yeah, it was. Cosby, how did this all happen for you? He was on here, and he praised you, as you know, on this very show.
Yes, I
before it started, he came on and said how good you were.
I think we had done the pilot by then.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure.
I think you had, yeah.
Yes, we must have. Otherwise, how could he praise me? I didn't know him.
Why did, I guess the question everybody wants to know is, why did Bill Cosby choose you? And did he do the choosing, or was it the producers or someone else?
Well, I'll never know, really, will I? But he certainly must have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think the producers may have had something to do with it as well, since I worked with them before. I actually did Carsey Werner.
Yeah.
Their first show was Oh, Madeline.
Oh, yes, they did that. That was the first thing they ever produced?
Yes.
And then they've gone on to be gazillionaires.
And then they did Cosby.
Yeah. Didn't they do Roseanne, too?
After, but I mean...
Yeah. Cosby, Roseanne, and a lot of other programs have become very successful.
Yeah, so I'm certain, that they had something to do with it, and that he had something to do with it, and I don't quite know exactly how it happened. There happened to have been some possible role to be created.
Tell me about the character, because we're going to take a look at this, in which, a clip from this.
She's just someone who's in his world. Yes, the fact is the character is supposed to be a friend of a working partner of his wife's, and all of this. Well, I'm not quite sure what the background of the character is, even to this day. But just that I'm in their world, and the facts would only be a device anyway.
I mean, everything is just simply to put you and Cosby together on screen so that you can make each other funny.
Yes, or all of us together,
All right.
As a contrast.
And for those who don't know, tell them about the idea of this show.
Well,
Cosby and Phyllis Rashad are back.
Yes, they are back. He is a man who's been downsized, who's lost his job.
And married to Phyllis Rashad again.
Yes, who's a woman who's active and pursuing all the things that she likes to do. We have a flower business together, and somehow I am a part of their world. I am their friend.
Here it is.
Now stop right there now. See, you haven't had enough rest. See, I see it in your eyes. No, you're starting to get irritable, see?
You're looking at St. Hilton of Queens. Man who just gives out serenity and joy across the land. And dear, I love you.
Love you too.
Yes. Pauline.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a religious thing.
I think I'm making headway. After all these years, Hilton is trying to control his temper.
Oh, temper can be a very, very destructive thing. My father had a terrible temper. But I remember once, I must have been a very, very little girl, I dropped in at his office, and he must have been just furious with his secretary because they were like in the back, and he was all like hunched over her, and he was shouting these obscenities, Ruth, at her, and the girl was just moaning. And as I say these words, I realize I may have misinterpreted the entire scene.
It's good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, is it?
It's not bad, is it?
Now, do you watch it every night on Monday night when it's on? Are you there in front of your little telly watching?
No, I have to sneak up on it.
What do you mean?
I don't like to be my own audience. I find that being my own audience, being in the audience, it makes me self-conscious, basically. So I tune in sometimes with the sound off just to check it out, and I back up to it. In the future, I will look at it when some time has passed, all because, not that I don't like it, but really all because I have one experience doing something. Everyone's happy, I'm happy, it all works out well, I go home, fine. Then when I look at it, I tend to say, that was what why do they let me, and that...
You don't think you are naturally funny?
My own experience of myself, and I'd spend a lot of time with myself,
yes,
and I'm very good company.
24 hours a day, you're with self.
No, I like to spend time alone, too.
You like spending more than most people do alone with yourself.
Yes, I do. I like to I find it, I need to do that. I need a certain amount of solitude. But so my experience of my own self is that I'm very smart, I'm very understanding, I'm serious. There's a lot of, I always see sort of the tragedy beneath what's funny, and that's only important to me. Then that tells me how to make something work, or I think it's what makes something work beneath it all, the gravity. And I also am funny. I also can see the humor.
So you know how to be funny.
Yes, I think I know what can make something. I know that I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point in my life, I could safely say, having worked for 30 years or more.
How would you define the perception of you think, by audiences? As a comic actress? As a comedian? As what?
I'm always asking that question. I'm always curious to know. I don't know what people... I'm happy to find that many people do see that I'm an actress and that I'm not a kook. And, it's not just, oh, that's her. That character, that kooky person is
if
her.
I had a movie, if I was a big-time
I
movie
wish you'd answer
producer...
that. Yeah.
What, you what?
I wish you would answer that.
Here's the question. If I was a big-time movie producer and I wanted, in the context of your perception of self, and I wanted to make you a killer, a diabolical killer, would you like to do that? If it was a good role, well-written, well-scripted, with quality performance?
Probably yes, even though I don't yearn to play, a killer for its own sake. But just the way, for example, one of my favorite actors just popped into my head, Christopher Walken. Yeah. Very unique. He's funny.
He is.
He's funny. And he has, we all have certain equipment, and it may be that my unit, which I'm not responsible for what I look like and what I sound like, transmits certain messages more clearly than others, and it may be that I would never be given a role like that, but I think it would be interesting if I were.
Yeah. It is amazing how Christopher Walken has fashioned a career for himself in playing a diversity of roles. I mean, he really, if you think of certain kinds of characters, one of the first people that come to mind is Christopher Walken, because he'll give you a great performance, and he has a certain thing. Dennis Hopper has the same thing.
Yes.
Range.
Yes. I just think that there are more men who are allowed to have great complexity, who may in fact be very amusing people and have a very odd turn of mind, who may be attractive, and all sorts of qualities that don't go to, make up, so to speak, killer, but who are allowed to play roles with the unexpected. That just may be more allowed, generally speaking, for men than it is for women.
Do you think that Madeline is typecast?
Sure. I think, if anyone makes an impression at all, rises to the surface at all, to the forefront, doing something, then that will be the way that you've been perceived, and that will be it's amazing that you get there at all. So, yes, I suppose men, certainly if you make people laugh, and they like to laugh, and they love to be amused, and it's more rare, perhaps, to be someone who you can count on to be amusing, then they will be maybe angry if they come to see you and you give them, you twist, and you don't make them laugh.
What difference did Mel Brooks make for you?
Well, first of all, the movies that I did with him were extremely popular. You know,
Yeah.
they
Blazing Saddle and...
yeah, they were world famous, and so and at the time they were right on the cutting edge of humor, and they've become classics. So, you know, it was through them that I became most widely known.
Any great regrets about your career? And would you do it differently?
You know, I don't think of it in those terms. There are things I haven't done
Yet.
that I might be happy doing. But whenever I get into that mode, I don't stay there very long because it just seems silly to me to walk around, you know, not appreciating.
Thinking about what might have been or what else I might have done. Or
when the fact is that I'm doing some of the most interesting things I've ever done at this point in my life after all these years. So I
And they
hardly
don't necessarily come because you thought about them or wanted them. And I don't imagine that you heard that Bill Cosby was doing this television series and immediately you call up your agent and says, I want on this series. No, I kind of let things cross my path in a way. Although we all heard about this series, you know, coming to pass, and I did notice who was producing it, and I did say, I wonder if no, of course
not
not,
possible.
no.
Of course
But
not. Don't
maybe
be
I'll just
ridiculous.
one little call to check in.
Sure.
That would be appropriate.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? What an interesting combination. I can't imagine what that would be like.
Might be.
It could be something.
And
You
it
never know.
was.
You never know.
You do. And they said there's a moral of our story is that if you have a hunch, play it.
Yeah, sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
I rarely do. One other time I had a hunch. I read in the Times that there was going to be this takeoff on a German kind of world, Western parody, and Mel Brooks, and I didn't know him, and I thought, no one knew that I had spent time working in Hofbrauhauses and sung German Lieder and stuff like that, and how would he ever know that? I must try to see if I can inquire about this, even though I'm not a Marlene Dietrich type at all, but I understand this sort of thing, potentially. And I thought, well, you can't, you don't. But, you know, it came to pass.
And what happened?
Well, he was auditioning a lot of people. I wasn't available at the time because I was going to be in the film of Mame, but I was fired. And so I became available, and I had a long audition with him, and I sang my Lieder and my Kurt Weill parodies and so on and so forth, and ended up, you know, getting the part.
Could you go for a year without working?
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
And be happy.
Well,
And read and go to movies and...
I don't like to work all the time. Like I said before, I like spending time just alone. Some time, you know, a certain percentage of the time. I like a certain percentage of the time unemployed, and even not knowing what I'll do next. That's very unusual. That just that is what my life has been like, but I realize that I like it. I like the opportunity to just be in neutral.
Thank you. It's great to see you. What's it, Monday night at 9? When is it?
8.
8. Goodness gracious. Monday night. Madeline Kahn, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.